Hello and welcome to Merlins Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building, where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, new LEGO Ideas entries, and general industry news from time to time as well. Information is presented as always by setdb.org, the best source for set information on the internet. And we will get started right away, as always in alphabetical order through the brands, and BlueBrixx is on in front as always. So here we have 3 announcements of something new, something they haven't done before. They called it the Mini Architecture Series. There are 3 collections. So the first one is a 105-415. These are all micro builds from, on the pictures we have only the German names, obviously. You can buy it at least in Europe as well. So we have the Brandenburger Tor, that is in Berlin, Statue of Liberty, the Willis Tower, Marina Bay, Sands Hotel, Tower Bridge, and the Pyramids of Gizeh. And then we have the set number 2, that's the 105-416. By the way, we do not have for the entire collection the piece count. Actually, you could count together the 6 individual sets in the collection, and of course we don't have pricing because BlueBrixx announces pricing only together with availability of sets. They do it like this all the time. If you look at the piece counts, it's usually between 60 and 85 pieces over here. So we have the second series, again, 6 pieces in the collection: Sydney Opera House, Machu Picchu, Markusplatz. That's actually a good question. I don't know how that one is called in English, the Space Needle, the Petronas Towers, and Castle Neuschwanstein. Markusplatz, that's in Venice. I don't know, Central Place in English. I honestly do not know. Anyhow, there's a third series announced, and this is the 105-417. And here we have, again, 6 elements in the collection. Empire State Building, Burj Khalifa, both of them actually buildings that LEGO has, that BlueBrixx, has already done as full-blown series. We have the Louvre, we have the Chinese Wall, very similar to the former LEGO sets, and we have Main Tower in Frankfurt. So here we go, 3 collections. They will come out as BlueBrixx Pro. That means probably a Xingbao made, paper manual, and a colored box, basically. 3 collections all in all, just announcements. I assume usually BlueBrixx Pro can. I'm not sure if there's a usual, but usually, it can go pretty fast. We had this very recently with the Chrysler Building, I think it was. No, Empire State Building, it was actually. This went extremely quick, but it can also be a couple of months, so somewhere in that ballpark. Anyhow, let's move on. There's another announcement from the Battle Tank Leopard 2 PSO. That stands for Peace Support Operations. That's actually not a tank that is, to my knowledge, in any army on this planet. This is actually a prototype by the German military complex. And peace support operation means this thing is specially equipped for peace operations, or for urban fighting, I would rather call it, right? So you have like these automated machine gun that can be operated from the inside. The cannon is a bit shorter, so you can basically have a bit more maneuverability in between buildings, stuff like that. Special mine protection, this kind of stuff. Like I said, it is a prototype. So the set is going to have 1,222 pieces. It's scale 1/30, so that's quite a large tank actually. And as you can see, it has an inside, I guess it's minifigure scale. So if that is your cup of tea, you can put your minifigures inside, and yeah, it's pretty detailed actually. And you can open it up and look into the interior, which is something that a lot of Cobi tanks unfortunately are missing. So that is what you get here. Of course, you do not have the Cobi piece quality. And then we have an availability, the Pirate Island. So that's the second set, I think, one of the governor sets. They already put online a couple of weeks ago, and now we have the second set. So we are talking about the 105-130 for the 966 pieces. Numbers are complicated, my apologies. BlueBrixx is asking for 45 euros, as always in Europe. That includes tax. That's 4.7 cents a piece. not shabby, I would say. It is for BlueBrixx special. That's Kunlong pieces usually. It is a pretty high price, so these can go even in the low 3 cents per piece. However, you have in here, you have all the cannons, you have all the green stuff on top of the palm tree, so that's I guess what is driving the cost and driving the price upwards. Anyhow, it is, I've talked about these before, they are highly modular, so you can combine multiple sets, you can rearrange them. As you can see here, even this relatively small set is already made out of I guess 9 pieces, and you can put them together by Technic Pin. Yeah, here you go. Then we have availability for the black US muscle car. BlueBrixx, as always, has these generic names because they usually don't do any deals with car manufacturers. To my knowledge, they never have done. So that's why, I mean, I guess that's a Dodge Charger, but anyhow, they just call it the black US muscle car. It's the 105033. It has 1013 pieces, and BlueBrixx is asking again for 45 euros. That is 4.4 cents a piece. I think it's quite a beauty. I would be a bit concerned on the piece quality, especially with black pieces. Usually these pieces that BlueBrixx is shipping, they have a lot like scratches on the surface, which especially with blacks can look quite shabby. But yeah. Obviously, I have no idea how it's actually going to look like, but I think the form itself, the design, I like quite a lot. Let's move on to a very old set, actually, that became available or hasn't been available for ages. So for those of you who are not familiar with the BlueBrixx brand, they are a bit different. For instance, compared to LEGO, for instance, or Cobi, which, you know, bring a set to market, then they have it on the market, I don't know, for 1 to 3 years. I mean, it can be more, like a couple of modulars they have on the markets for, I think, almost 4 or 5 years now. Saturn was on the market like forever, but the point is there is a fixed start and a fixed end, and when this set is gone, and it's gone, right? It might be revived a couple of years later with a refined or refreshed version, but the set itself will come to an end. BlueBrixx is constantly proving that they don't want to do that. So if you just look at the number 101, so this set is several years old. They call it the Stuntman truck. It hasn't been available, I think, since I run this site. So since SetDB exists, it has never been seen available, and now it is. Obviously, again, no license, but I guess we all know from which TV series this one is, from the 80s, I guess, 70s, 80s, right? From a certain bounty hunter. But anyhow, here you go, the Stuntman truck, the 101 472 1130 pieces, and BlueBrixx is asking for 48 euros. That's 4.2 cents a piece, and of course, again, including tax. Then you have the tramway yellow white. Okay, that's a very generic name. We are talking about the 105329, 1372 pieces. BlueBrixx is asking for 65 euros. That's 4.7 cents a piece. Yeah, I mean, it is quite a nice tram. What I really like is that you have these I think you can actually put 3 motors in this one if you want to. I think this thing that brings this thing, I guess, up to racing speed. But anyhow, in general, I really like the design. I think it's quite beautiful. I mean, obviously this is a rendered picture, but you can open it up. You can open up the front to put in a driver. You have a lot of seats in the inside. So this thing is 6 studs, so it's a small one actually. So BlueBrixx is nowadays doing a lot of 8-stud trains, which I personally would prefer. But yeah, for all of you who are 6-stud fans, this is another interesting one to have in your city. All right, that was that for BlueBrixx. Let's move on to CaDA. And here we have, I think, a couple of very interesting sets. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the first reviews on those because I've actually no idea how they will work. So they are marketed by EE under the CaDA brand. So that means, for me, it's Brixx, right? And actually, they do say it's 72 pieces, but 72 for an 8-stud car, so that's kind of, you know, the ballpark of LEGO Speed Champions, that's not many pieces. And in fact, if you look at the picture, it does not even look like a brick car. It looks like that a bit from the inside, right? If you look at the windows, they look like this a little bit. The wheels look very familiar, but everything else looks like a regular toy car, like it's just made. It seems to have a lot of ready to go machine pieces. I mean, the entire roof seems to be one piece. The bonnet seems to be one piece. So I have actually no idea. I mean, the door is the same thing, right? I don't know what it really is. I really have, again, I'm looking forward to folks taking a look at this one, right? If you look at this picture, yeah, it is made out of, maybe the chassis is made just out of, I don't know, half a dozen pieces. It's quite interesting. So I have actually no idea what these things are. I mean, if you look, I mean, CaDA, I'm sorry, has done these cars before in a brick build version, right? If you look, for instance, at the 55012, as ZTB is showing here, or the 13, I mean, this is an entirely different look. So I don't really know what this thing is. It does not look like a regular brick build car, but it seems to have bricks inside. It's like a hybrid. Anyhow, so let's move through the series. So first comes the initial D Toyota AE86, main protagonist, obviously, from initial D. We are talking about the 55018, 72 pieces. CaDA itself is asking for $13 US. And then we have the initial D Mazda FD35. We are talking about the 55017 from CaDA, 66 pieces. And CaDA is asking for $13 US. And then we have the Mazda FC35. We are talking about the 55016, 66 pieces, and again, $13. Price per piece, I guess, does not make much sense with these because they have pretty large pieces. And then there's another strange set that they are doing, and this is another Fujiwara's Tofu Shop. I mean, they have done one before, right? The 61031, as ZTB is thankfully showing here, and now they have another one, and it looks very similar. So the building technique seems to be almost identical, I would say. However, it's just the front. I don't know. It's just a shrink down version where you basically just see the main entrance. That is one thing. The other thing, which looks again curious, is this piece here. So one of the issues that I actually did on my German channel a review on the original Tofu Shop, the 61031. And one of the few complaints that I had is that you had these gigantic stickers and they were going across like 20 slopes, which obviously is never good, right? If you go with a sticker beyond a single piece, you know, there's almost a guarantee for bubbles over time. And if you go over like 20 pieces, I mean, it's impossible to keep this, you know, tidy. Anyhow, I mean, again, this is a render, so this might be, you know, give the wrong impression, but it looks like almost like a single piece, like a panel. So I'm not sure. Really looking forward to this one. Also, this down here below looks like the typical initial D print. But I'm not sure about this main entrance sign here. Anyhow, next to that, it looks pretty much like the building. I guess the idea is just to have a shrink down version for those folks who are interested, maybe in a little bit of building, maybe in initial D for sure, but not so much interested in building an entire thing. Like, I don't know, I think this 3-1 had like 2,000 pieces. Obviously, if you're most and foremost interested in initial D, that is maybe a bit too much for you. This one here is just 412 pieces. CaDA itself is asking for $46. That's 11.2 cents a piece. That was CaDA. Let's move on to Cobi. Here we have, at least over here in Europe, I have no idea what the situation is overseas, but here in Europe we have a couple of availabilities. From several new Cobi sets, I think mostly tanks and an airplane today. So we're talking first about the Vickers A1E1 Independent. That's the 2990 for the 887 pieces. Over here in Europe, like Brickmo, you will pay around 38 euros, and that's 4.3 cents a piece. Cobi itself is asking for 50 euros. For this one, it's scale 1:35, includes a minifigure. Yeah, maybe two words around the Independent A1E1. That is actually a tank, like it was a prototype that was built by Vickers in between First and Second World War. And it's a multi-turreted tank, as you can see, has like four turrets, 5 including the main turret. And I think it had a lot of influence on tank building going forward into World War II. But again, it was just a prototype. So I guess a lot of folks may not be familiar with this one. By the way, Cobi is working together here with the Tank Museum. So that's why I do guess, I never have been there, but I do guess that they have this one prototype actually in the museum. Here we go. Let's move forward into the 2992, the Renault FT Victory Tank 1920. So that has been a very successful tank to my knowledge. That is the first tank from a historical point of view that had a main turret that can go like 360 degrees. The French produced around 3,000 of them, most of them during 1918. Has been copied, has been licensed, exported. So kind of a very successful tank for its time. And this model here by Cobi is a 1:35 scale again, a model with 304 pieces. Over here in Europe, you pay right now around 25 euros. Cobi itself is listing this one with 30 euros. Includes a minifigure, like looks like a general, French general, something like that. I don't know why you need general for a tank, but that's not for me to decide. And actually, Cobi is collaborating with the museum here as well. And based on what I read here, I guess that's a tank museum or military museum in Poland, actually, where, of course, Cobi is from. So then we have an airplane. And oh my boy, oh my God, my French is so bad. The Devoitin D520. Oh my God, that was wrong for sure. 5734 French airplane. Actually, that was a plane that was introduced by the French Air Force in the beginning of World War II. However, while it was not, at least on paper, not as fast and strong as the Messerschmitt 109, it actually had a pretty good maneuverability. I guess the reason why it was not able to win against the Messerschmitt was simply numbers. At this point in time, it basically came too late, and the numbers were not high enough. And then, of course, you all know how history went. Anyhow, this model here by Cobi has 335 pieces. It is in scale 1:32. And here in Europe, you pay around 25 euros for it, or Cobi itself is listing it for 30 euros. And then we have available the Opel Rekord C-Copy in the Executive Edition. That is an interesting one because, and I might be mistaken here, but based on my data and my observations, this is the very first time that, at least into the, let's say, free market, the Executive Edition came in after the Standard Edition. So the Standard Edition, I think I talked about this one already a couple of weeks ago, and now we have finally availabilities of the Executive Edition again over here in Europe. We are talking about the 24344, 2,415 pieces. Of course, it is part of the scale 1:12 series of Cobi, and Cobi itself is asking for 135 euros, and in BlueBrixx is currently has the cheapest one over here in Europe, and that's 126 euros. So usually you don't get much discount on Cobi like this. And the main difference, I mean, there are usually a couple of small differences like tires and a couple more prints, but the main difference for the Executive Edition here that I want to point out is, of course, the different roof. It has a black roof, which is actually something that actually, from my point of view, makes it look a lot better than the Standard Edition. And it's just more interesting. And then you have the stand, which is actually a beauty if you have never built one of the Cobis 1:12. Cobi has amazing tiles. Like, they are able to manufacture pretty good large tiles as well, like a lot better than what LEGO can. First of all, they are bigger and they are like perfectly polished, at least most of the times. Obviously, if they come in the back and everything, there might be scratches on there. But in general, Cobi is together with CaDA, I guess. CaDA had in the Buckingham Palace dark red 8x16 tiles. That's the biggest ones I've ever seen, and they were marvelous. But Cobi is also doing pretty good ones as well. But they're not going. I think they have an 8x16. I'm not sure. Anyhow, what you basically have is a gigantic polished black plate. Obviously, this thing is, screaming for dust and fingerprints and everything. So you have to clean it a lot. But if you do so, it looks rather beautiful. here you go. And that was Cobi for this week. Let's move on to Jaki. That's a brand that I have relatively newly added to the SetDB. And here we have 2 announcements actually this week. One, and they're actually done by BlueBrixx, so that's a European shop, not a Chinese shop. So I have not seen this set in China yet. And this so-called American truck, as always, very generic names. JK9062 by Jaki. It has 183 pieces, or will have, because I do not have prices yet, but it's basically an 8-stud truck, which is amazing because LEGO is doing these amazing speed champions. And there are many cars in this size, but having trucks in this size is always great. Actually, BlueBrixx itself is doing a lot of these, like garbage trucks, logistics trucks. Zembo, of course, has the Zoom Line series, I think. So there are so many amazing trucks in this size that all look a bit more grown up than LEGO City stuff. So for those of you who, want to have a bit more than just, racing cars and super sports cars like LEGO Speed Champions in your city, BlueBrixx and Jaki have you covered. And there's a second one, the 9061, 171 pieces. Actually, these things look a bit like prints. Again, it's a rendered picture, so I'm not 100% sure. But, I mean, they're not that good looking. They're just called, 18 truck or truck 18 and power and stuff. But I don't know. I would love if they would include these as prints. But I mean, it looks like this on the picture. But again, I guess it is rendered. Not 1% sure, but the pictures may be confusing here, but it looks like prints to me. Anyhow, let's see. Where you will see prints for sure is the Keeppley Long March 5 Space Rocket from Keeppley, the 10215, available now in China, Reobrix. Actually, one of those is on its way to me. I'm so looking forward to this one, and of course I will compare it to the Long March 5 from CaDA. The big space rockets, for all of you space rocket fans, I think it's going to be amazing. Not sure how this thing will compete against LEGO Saturn, but I think it's going to be a beauty. It is, Chinese space program. That's great to have. From my point of view, we need now a bit more Russian and European stuff as well, to have the whole collection. LEGO has always favored NASA stuff. And of course, the Chinese manufacturers focus on the Chinese program. But yeah, I mean, it's great that we have it. I would love to see more. But here we go. Long March 5, gigantic, enormous space rocket. I don't know how many pieces this has. Keeppley is always a bit tricky with piece count because they don't put it on the box. And usually even the shops don't know how many pieces are in there. But I think it's a lot. And if it's Keeppley, then usually it means everything is pad printed. Amazing. So looking forward to this one. Where you are not going to see many prints, but a lot of pieces, is the Icons Eiffel Tower from LEGO, the 10307. Finally, it's here. Rumors and speculations have been there like forever, because this is the 10,000 pieces marker set. It has actually 10,001. I think 1 is the piece separator. So it has 10,000 pieces. Obviously, they have done the world map, but for me, that does not really count. So this is for sure by far the biggest set LEGO has ever done. And they are asking for $630 US. That's 3.6 cents a piece. Not too shabby. A bit like the Colosseum, I guess, in a similar ballpark. I think the Colosseum has been raised by LEGO recently. I'm not 1% sure, but it is for sure in that ballpark. Obviously, this thing is a lot higher. I mean, the Colosseum, I built it. It's huge. It's enormous. But this thing here is 1.50 meters in height. Where I would say, okay, that is even not that special. I mean, BlueBrixx has done similar skyscrapers, even higher ones. I think the Burj Khalifa is like 1.70 meters or 1.80 meters or something like that. But it also has its base, it's 57 by 57. So imagine that. This thing is just enormous. You either need a gigantic table or you have to put it on the floor. And even then, I think it's just enormous in every way. But I must say, it rather looks beautiful. Obviously, there's a lot of debate that the color is wrong. Like previous Eiffel Tower that LEGO has done, it should not be dark bluish gray, maybe more something like dark tan. However, that actually does not look that good. So I think BlueBrixx, why keep I saying BlueBrixx? LEGO is going for the looks here and not for, you know, how accurate this thing is. But I do believe it is quite a beauty. Actually, there is a ton of reviews out there, which is actually interesting. I mean, if you look at it, also over here in Germany, I think Germany, they shipped it to, or they provided the set to 3 different YouTube channels. So it's crazy to how many influencers LEGO is throwing this one out, especially if you compare it to the very recent Hulkbuster that, you know, was always kept behind the curtains. And this one here, LEGO is really putting their foot on the gas when it comes to marketing. And yeah, I guess it's worth it. It's a nice and beautiful set. I'm really looking forward to it. And like I said, and you can see this in some of these pictures, either you have to put it on the floor or you have to put it on the desk. That's basically what you need to do. I think there are not many shelves out there that can handle this set, but it does look very nice. Anyhow, it's going to be launched this Friday, Black Friday. Actually, there will be a gift with purchase as part of that. I think I talked about it last week. I think the gift with purchase is extremely underwhelming, but the tower itself is rather cool. So let's move on to LEGO Friends. And here we have the new wave for 1st of January. Let's go briefly through it. This is, I think, already with the new set of characters. So far, my kids, I mean, they listen to a lot of audiobooks, audio shows, and also watch the TV series from time to time. And so far, I haven't seen the new characters there, but I guess they will show up in the digital world as well. But in sets, we have now first the Heart Lake Downtown Diner. That's the 41728, 346 pieces, 3 minifigures, a cat, and LEGO is asking for $30 US. I do like it. I like the sandwich. Obviously, it has a ton of stickers, especially the diner signature sign. I would have loved to see this one as a print because I think you could also use it in other sets. So that's very unfortunate. But hey, I mean, where do you want to start if you're getting mad about too many stickers in LEGO sets? It's just the way it is. Anyhow, you have 3 characters in there: Alia, Lian, and Charlie. And yeah, here we go. It's the diner. And then we have the LEGO Friends Dog Rescue Center, the 41721, 617 pieces. I think 3 dogs and 3 minifigures, and it's $60 US. And this one I really like because it is pretty sturdy brick build, actually. I mean, it's not like a bunch of, panels, but actually some bricks that the kids have to put together. And that is something I do really like. So from my point of view, I mean, it is twice as expensive, but there is some brick building to be done. I mean, it's not much. Let's be honest here. But at least there's something. There is like 1 million stickers that you need to put into it, but yeah, you have at least 3 dogs and you have the 3 characters. So from that point of view, well done, LEGO. Let's move on to the hair salon, which is, again, just a bunch of panels. But here we go, 41743, the Friends Hair Salon, 401 pieces. And LEGO is asking for $40 US. I mean, yes, it's like 1 million panels. There's not many bricks in this one, but it's at least a lot of windows. Question is, who will like this? And the question is, how will this thing look, after kids have played with it with a couple of weeks? With, all these plastic windows. I'm usually not a big fan of large trans clear panels, which is what we have here, right? Because they just look so messed up after a couple of months of regular playing with it and being in the kids' room and everything. So yeah, I'm not sure what I think about this one. From my point of view, it's also not enough stuff to build, quite honestly. So I prefer actually the Dog Rescue Center here, which what I also like actually a lot is the Friends Autumn's House. Autumn's House? Okay, Autumn's House. 41730, 853 pieces. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4 minifigures, a dog. And again, it is at least nicely brick built. So that is what I definitely prefer, but I've said that before. Yeah, there's 4 characters in there: Autumn, Alia, Leo, and Mia. And there is a small pony, and there's a doggy, and I think it's going to be amazing. It has 1 million stickers because it's LEGO, but all in all, Nice brick build, limb elements. There's even a tree. I mean, there are not so many friend sets where you can build your own tree, so that is quite nice. And there is sand green in there. I mean, come on. Then we have the Hot Lake International School, the 41731, 985 pieces. LEGO was asking for $100. That's actually a lot, and it looks quite simple, but it is at least to a certain degree modular. So you can bring it into different shapes and forms. I think as you can see here, you can build your own tower. And yeah, you have basically like, it looks at least to me that you have at least like 3 modules. I guess you can even put these apart. So I don't know. I think there are several building shapes that you can build with this one. On the inside, some of these elements look a bit simple for my taste, but here we go. You have your school with the different rooms. So I think it is quite nice, actually. All right, here we go. That was Friends. Let's move on to Super Mario. There are a lot of expansion sets for the game. So first we have the 71415. Has only 105 pieces. LEGO is asking for $25 US. Over here in Europe, we have already a first listing. So Brickmore wants to have it for 18 euros. Here you go. And I mean, I can't say much about the game and how much sense this piece here makes because I've never played it. I've never seen it even. I think I've seen it in a LEGO store once, but I've never played it. I've actually no idea. What I do like is these ice. I don't even know what this is. It's like a plate tile kind of thing. It does not look like a panel. Never had one of those before, but you have, of course, these large rock elements in trans light blue, I guess it is. So that's quite nice. But yeah, I have actually no idea how good this thing is. And then let's move on to another expansion set, Super Mario Flypros, Snow Adventure, anyhow. Some Beasts Snow Adventure, and we are talking about the 71417, 567 pieces. And by the way, did I mention all of these will launch on 1st of January? LEGO is asking for $65 US. Numbers are still complicated for me. And over here in Europe, we have the first listing for 49 euros. Especially if you translate this into what is going on up here. Okay, here we go. If you translate that into dollar, based on the current, the way the euro stands, I guess some of you over there in dollar country are shedding tears how cheap this stuff over here is. But see it the other way around. If we want to buy something from you, then stuff is getting really expensive. Anyhow, trust me, it's not cheap for us. So here we go. Let's move on to the next one. The Lava Wave Ride expansion set, the 71416, 218 pieces, and LEGO is asking for $35 US. And yeah, it is like a tiny roller coaster element. I really like this. Again, I have no idea how good it fits into the game, but yeah, I think at least the color scheme I do really like. It seems there is an element in there that can make music, which is interesting. I guess the figure is making music if you put it on top of this tire, right? Anyhow, then we have something that is also quite interesting. The Peach's Garden Balloon Ride expansion set, the 71419, 453 pieces. LEGO is asking for $50 US, and I think you can already pre-order it, which is interesting. 1st of January again, and here we go. You have a balloon. For Princess Peach. Obviously, Princess Peach is not included. It's just an expansion to the game. And then you have the Super Mario Creativity Toolbox Maker Set, the 71418, 588 pieces, and LEGO is asking for $60 US. And yeah, it's a ton of pieces. I do really like, let's say, the creativity that may come with this, right? Because my understanding, at least, is that with that, you have like a flexible mechanism to extend or enrich your game, which I think is quite nice. There are a couple of printed tiles included, and yeah, different pieces, different elements that you can either use to decorate or extend your setup. And then we have also the announcements for the new Super Mario character packs. We are talking about the 71413, 6 different characters. No, I'm getting totally 1 to 6. eight different elements. That is my guess. At least Lego is asking for $6 US. However, over here in Europe, you can already buy it for $4.50 or pre-order for $4.50. Anyhow, yeah, you have the different characters. I must say I never owned a Nintendo, so I'm really not that much into Super Mario. Obviously, I mean, I know the franchise. I've played it, you know, friends' houses and stuff like that. But I played on the original Super Mario Kart, stuff like that, like 30 years ago. But I have no idea what all these characters are. But I do like them. They are quite funny, actually. All right, that was Lego for the week. I guess most of you, most and foremost, interested in the tower, but the Super Mario Friends stuff is nice as well. So let's move on to Reobrix. Here we have announced, or availability is actually already in China from 3 Technic sets. First, we have the garbage truck, 1,468 pieces. BlueBrixx is asking for $98. That's 6.7 cents a piece. And yeah, I think it's quite nice. Full functions, you know, with you're putting the garbage in. You have the storage compartment. And there's even, as you can see here, pad printed pieces in there. I don't know if all of it is printed. Like if you, for instance, look here, I mean, these are all like Technic panels. It would be very cool if they were all printed. I mean, this is how it looks like, right? You can't, if you look at this here, this line where currently my mouse is, you couldn't do that with a sticker. So it looks to me like all of these pieces are pad printed, which is, you know, would be amazing because this is something that Lego to this day has never managed to do. But anyhow, yeah, it's 38.5 centimeters in length, 14.5 in width, and 17 heights. It is a static version as far as I can tell. So here you go. Reobrix Technic with a ton of prints in there. Then you have a truck, basically, a carriage truck, I guess is the right name. They call it the 4 mode, like because you can, I don't know, use it in, you know, use it in different versions or variants, but at the end of the day, it's just a set as you can see it here. It has 2,950 pieces. BlueBrixx, that's again a Chinese shop. And as always, I usually take shipping into Central Europe. Obviously, depends on where you live, if they will even ship to you, and how much it's going to cost to ship this one out of China to you. But this one here is slightly different. Obviously, it's a lot bigger, a lot larger, much longer. And it's, I think, also an electric version. So it is not a static version. I'm not 1% sure how many functions it does have. I guess a couple of those you can see over here. But yeah, you can actually drive around with this thing. And I don't know how long it is, but I would guess it must be in the ballpark of maybe like 80 centimeters, maybe more. So quite huge. And then we have the snow leveling vehicle, the 22019 from Reobrix, 1,110 pieces. And BlueBrixx again here, my partner is $89. That's 8 cents a piece. And it is again a motorized version. I guess you can, yeah, you know, put the shovel up and down, stuff like that. And you have a turret or a turntable for the crane. And yeah, you have the 2 tracks. I guess they're individual motorized or have individual motors, so you can steer. And here we go. Quite interesting. Actually, this one is, I guess, my favorite out of the 3. You know, driving around with this one, cleaning up your Lego room a little bit. This could be quite amazing. And then we have from TaiGaoLe an announcement, actually, from BlueBrixx. I've not seen this set yet in Chinese shops. But anyhow, the 2013, that's a dinosaur, a Triceratops, 2,116 pieces. And yeah, it's a gigantic dinosaur. They have a light brick in the mouse. I have no idea which dinosaurs had light in their mouths, but here you go. If that is your cup of tea, I guess you can, I don't know, pretend it's a dragon or anything, you know. I don't know why it would have light in their mouths, but obviously it's a light brick. I mean, you can just, you know, not throw it in there, give the light brick your kids and they will have fun with it. That's what I usually do. I'm not a big fan of light bricks. You know, if I want to have lighting, I put decent lighting like Brix Max or light tailing or anything like this in the, or light my bricks. Or I solder it myself. I've done all of these, but I don't know, light bricks are not really my cup of tea. Usually I give them to my kids if they're included in a set. Anyhow, here we go. That was the new set series for this week. Let's move on to mock of the week. And here we have one that I actually really like. I'm not a big fan of Classic Space, but this one is actually even I may think about, the Classic Space Micro Fleet. So that goes into the same direction. We have seen so much micro stuff recently. I mean, even vendors are moving into this right now, like BlueBrixx, for instance, with the architecture sets that I showed in the beginning. But even in their Star Trek series, they have these micro models. And you see this a lot nowadays on Rebrickable as well. And I think it's great, right? Shrink down, shrink to the max. Small sets, maximum fun. That's actually awesome. And through this, you can get, with just 565 pieces, you get 14 classic LEGO Space flagships. So that is just amazing, right? If you're interested in that history, if you had some of these sets, but obviously, if you want to purchase the original sets, all 14 of these, it would take like forever and cost several fortunes, I would actually say. So here you go. All you need is 565 pieces, $5 for the manual, and you're good to go. Actually, in similar direction goes Hogwarts. And I mean, for all of you who don't want to put out, like $400 or whatever the current Hogwarts is going to cost you, and this is just, feels like almost half the castle. Here you have the full thing. It's designed by Niffler as a micro model. It has only 946 pieces. I guess it's similar in size to the current LEGO Star Wars dioramas. I've actually built a lot of MOCs also in that size. In my case, again, Star Wars dioramas, but I mean, if that is a size, this goes on like almost like every shelf. And if you're a Harry Potter fan, I think this is the most compelling way to get a Hogwarts into your room, right? With reasonable invest. And in this case, the PDF manual is even free of charge. And then we have a ship where actually some folks complained. I already talked about this mock before, that this cannot be the USS Enterprise. It's just, I've not done any research on this one. Anyhow, here you go. You have a sailing ship, looks like a frigate from the 19th century, and it has 5,434 parts, and it's done by the designer Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner. Okay, that's a cool name, actually. I'm not sure, isn't there like any copyright on this name? But anyhow, here we go. I think a pretty beautiful design, and I really like it, I must say. It is, we don't have that many sailing ships. This has almost like a model-like, realistic kind of design. Brick-built sails, which I also like. And, it has 3 masts. It's a full-blown frigate, and you don't see this much. It has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cannons on every side. So it's like maybe 2 in the front as well. So that makes it like 22, like a pretty small frigate. But nevertheless, it has 3 masts, and this is amazing. And then we have another Imperial Fortress from Legate of Legion. I've talked about this amazing series in the past. Now, like kind of almost the crown jewel, the Imperial Fortress, as part of this gigantic series that Legate of Legion has created. This one, he has 3,297 parts, and it just looks amazing. By the way, when I'm talking about the series, look at it. He has done so many. There is now even the Ultimate Collection, putting the entire harbor together, including a ship, that would be 17,268 pieces. Okay, that's crazy. But anyhow, what I do really like about this design is, for me, this is, okay, let's take a classic LEGO series and, bring it into the future, bring it into, today's times by means of building techniques, the look and everything, right? At the same time, it's kind of obvious what it is. It fits very well into the traditional LEGO design. However, it has a lot of modern building techniques, right? You can see this in the walls. There are different building techniques, different coloring. I think it's just beautiful. It is a little bit like what I hope for that LEGO would do with the Lion's Castle. From my point of view, they went there only like 70% of the way. I think Lion's Castle does not have enough detail, to be honest. It should have more modern building techniques as well. Like, it's too simplistic when it comes to the walls, for instance. That's my point of view. And I think this one here shows quite well what you could do, right? If you take a classic theme and just move it forward. Anyhow, Legend of Legion doing an amazing job here. Really looking forward to seeing more from this. And then we have by Black Mantle Builder an amazing mock actually, and that is the shopping arcade an inverted corner. And actually what he's pointing out here is, or she, actually I don't know if it's he or she, but anyhow, BMB is, well, you have all these outward you have a lack of inverted corner in general, right? You have just the standard corner buildings. As a result, I mean, at the end of the day, if you mod your building collector, you're basically building these simple blocks, right? But if you want to have more interesting shapes in your city, then you're kind of stuck because there's no way to connect the modulars. So that's what you need. This inverted place or corner, whatever you may call it. And as you can see here on the top picture, it gives you the opportunity to combine your modular buildings in your city in much more interesting shapes. And I think just one of these buildings in the center or somewhere can already give your entire city, because right, this will like ripple through the entire city. And instead of having these standard blocks like 2x3 modular building, right, and then streets around it, which is, at least over here in Europe, not how our cities look like. I mean, I know there are some cities in North America who look like this, but in general, I think a lot of Lego-based large modular cities that I see nowadays, they all look very similar in their shape. And this is driven by the modulars, and this is driven because we are missing or lacking buildings like these. So that's why I really like the idea. This concrete example has 3,771 pieces, so it's not small. I think it has been highly influenced by a building in London. And actually, I guess it is from the UK because you have to pay £9 for the instruction. Really like this one. All right, that was mocks of the week. Now let's move on to LEGO Ideas. Here we have 3 designs this week that made the 10,000 supporters, which is the cause for me reporting about them. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Ideas program, 10,000 supporters mean that it will be considered by the LEGO Ideas team, and then I think twice a year they will announce out of all of the sets. Usually nowadays is around in the ballpark of 30 to 40 sets that made the 10,000, and then out of these they will pick, I think recently they picked 4, which is a new record, but usually it's more like 2. Anyhow, 10,000 supporters. We have the House of Open Shutters, which is brick built, so it's let's like really built with photographs. It's not coming out of the studio, not fully software rendered, but this has been built actually, which I really like. You don't see this in LEGO Ideas very often, and I think it is kind of a Polish design. From a certain region in Poland, and it looks like it's just a beautiful cottage. I'm not even sure if I would call this a house. It looks more like a small cottage, but it's just beautiful. Also the interior, highly detailed. Do I believe that LEGO will do this one as part of Ideas? No, I don't think so, but nevertheless, it is a beautiful design. Would love to see more like this. And then we have a cat. I think over here in Germany, this race is called like Persian cats, but I have actually no idea how to call it in English. Anyhow, it is a brick built cat. We have seen a couple of those in LEGO Ideas recently. It's not really my thing, I must say. I do like cats. I mean, they look beautiful, but I don't know. I don't think I need them in bricks, but it is a very well done design, I must say. I'm not sure if I like this enormous slope here on this side, but maybe I'm just still grumpy because LEGO used it in the UCS land speeder. But anyhow, I think I'm not sure about the slope here on the side, but everything else likes very, very nice and beautiful. And then we have the modular arcade, a modular building. Haven't seen that in a while, and basically I think the designer wrote here, hey, I took out an old design of mine and then just see what I could do with more modern pieces. And oh my god, he threw in like every print that LEGO has done in recent years. Now that's okay, that's maybe a bit too much, but there's like a ton of prints in here, like pizza and pizza boxes, a slope from from space. Video, a ton of video stuff. Obviously, you can get these tiles pretty cheap nowadays. Amazing design. I'm not sure why people throw this stuff in. I mean, you get, I think they get a little bit of money from LEGO when they make the 10,000. I guess that's the reason why they do it. But, this thing might have a real shot on Rebrickable. But okay, maybe that's something for a later time. But I'm pretty sure LEGO will never do a modular building as part of the Ideas program. So why? But anyhow, I really like this one. It's very well done. And like, I think I've never seen in an Ideas entry with so many prints in it. So that is what you can do in a modular if you go all in on modern LEGO pieces, especially tiles. I mean, you have even here the typewriter tiles that LEGO themselves also used for the Titanic sign. So yeah, and a lot of cool minifigures as well. All right, that was that. I hope you liked the show. For those of you who watch this on YouTube, please leave a like or comment, or even better, subscribe to the channel. For you podcast listeners, please leave a review, comment, or like on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the show. Thanks for listening. See you next week.